Hello children, today we will be doing the last part of chapter 2, energy change in chemical reaction. In every chemical change or chemical reaction, there is the energy change is involved. That is, there is a difference between the chemical energies of the reactants and the products of the reaction. Now these energy can be in the form of heat, light, sound and electricity. So what is chemical energy? Every substance has a fixed amount of stored energy which is in the form of potential energy and is referred to as its chemical energy. So a chemical reaction involves breaking up of chemical bonds between atoms and absorption of energy in the form of heat and formation of bonds with release of energy. Now these chemical bonds will be taught in due course of time in class 9 and class 10. So right now don't worry about what is chemical bond, you just know the name now. So breaking up of chemical bond between atoms. Now this happens for the reactants. Then there is an absorption of energy in the form of heat and the formation of new bonds. This happens for the products with release of energy. So these two types, that is, one is absorption and another is the release of energy, would have different values. So there is either surplus or deficit of energy during the reaction. So in a chemical reaction, energy is therefore either absorbed or released. Now this part is not there in your book, but for your understanding I have added this. Energy difference, if it is given as delta E, that is equal to final energy final minus initial. Now what is this? Energy associated with the product formation minus energy associated with the breaking of reactants. So depending on the energy released or absorbed, chemical changes are of two types. One is exothermic, another is endothermic. You remember this relation of energy difference of energy products minus reactants or energy final minus initial. Now what is your final? Final is your product formation. What is your initial? The reactants. So move forward. So the exothermic reaction is a chemical reaction in which heat is given out, is called exothermic. Therm is heat, exo means out. So it is exothermic. It is generated. Now there is the rise in temperature. Now this rise in temperature, I have put the star mark, that is discussed over here. So there is the rise in temperature. So now in exothermic reaction, total energy of the reactant is greater than the total energy of the product. So if you use that previous equation, delta E is equal to energy of the product minus energy of the reactant. So as energy of the reactant is greater in value, you will get negative energy. Now if you find your physics etc., there will be find more application of this negative value. So you can easily understand that this is the exothermic reaction. Now, what are different exothermic reactions? Now, carbon burns in oxygen to form carbon dioxide, then a lot of heat is produced. This delta sign is for heat. Now, then there is the combustion of natural gas where methane is the main product. This methane undergoes combustion readily, that is, it reacts with oxygen and it produces carbon dioxide and water on complete combustion. if you have seen already that if there is the incomplete combustion, you get the carbon monoxide. But here this methane undergoes complete combustion to give carbon dioxide and water. And there is a large amount of energy generation, and that's why this is called fuel. Now this natural gas combustion is a very important energy source for industry as well as home. Next we'll move forward through quicklime. When it reacts with water, then a lot of heat energy is produced with the formation of alkaline calcium hydroxide, or which is called slaked lime. This reaction we had already gone through in the previous section. Next reaction is also known to you, that when hydrogen is burnt in oxygen, it gives you water along with heat. Heat is released. Even this equation also you have gone through. Nitrogen and ammonia gives, nitrogen and hydrogen in presence of catalyst iron, molybdenum as a promoter at 450 degrees Celsius to 500 degrees Celsius as well as in 200 atmospheric pressure gives ammonia, and a lot of heat energy is released. Then come to this. This is called neutralization reaction. If you remember, neutralization reaction is the reaction in which an alkaline or basic solution reacts with acid, gives you salt and water only. Now this is sodium hydroxide is base or alkali, HCl is acid, this is salt, sodium chloride and water. Now this is also the exothermic reaction. Now in our body we require energy to make possible the reactions that take place in our cells. Now these reactions allow us to carry out our everyday activity. So we need energy to stay alive, and we get this energy from our food. Now you know this, that during digestion food is broken down to the simpler substances. One such simpler substance is glucose. Now carbohydrates in rice, potatoes and bread are generally broken down to glucose. So now combustion of glucose in presence of oxygen gives you carbon dioxide and water and energy. So the respiration is an exothermic process. Now similarly, rusting, burning of coal, petrol, kerosene, cooking gas, etc. also are some common exothermic process. Now we will move to endothermic reaction. So now after exo, you can understand what is endothermic reaction and what could be the conditions in terms of energy. So a chemical reaction in which heat is absorbed is called endothermic energy. There is the fall in temperature. So such types of reactions cannot be sustained without supply of energy from an external source, because there is a large fall of temperature. So for endothermic reactions, though there is heat is absorbed, sometimes there is some misleading concept developed among the children. Now make it very clear, though it is absorbing heat, there is a fall of temperature. These type of reactions cannot be sustained without extra energy supplied out from outside. This remember. So for endothermic reaction, just opposite to exo, energy of the product is greater than the reactant. So you know delta E is equal to energy final minus energy initial, that is energy of the product minus energy reactant, and you will be getting the positive. So for endothermic reaction, you will be getting the positive energy. So these equations are known to you. There is a formation of liquid carbon disulfide when carbon, which is solid, is heated with sulfur, which is gas, or sulfur gas is passed over carbon, you will be getting carbon disulfide. Similarly, when nitrogen and oxygen are heated at about 3000 degrees Celsius, we will get nitric oxide. This is an endothermic reaction. Another one, calcium carbonate is heated at about 1000 degrees Celsius to give calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. This is also an exothermic reaction. So now the photochemical reaction, that is the reaction which occurs with absorption of light energy. So very famous equation and very known equation by you, that is the photosynthesis reaction. Other reactions are also shown in some previous sections that you also can refer. This is silver nitrate, gives you silver, nitrogen dioxide, oxygen. Now this is a silver color, this is brown nitrogen oxide gas, and this is oxygen. If there is silver chloride, then you have silver and greenish yellow color chlorine gas. Move on to electrochemical reaction. It is a reaction that occurs with absorption of electric charge. There is a whole chapter called electrolysis in 10th standard. So these two reactions for the timing you should know, and remaining you will be coming to know in the 10th standard. So you know this reaction, that fused sodium chloride or potassium chloride on passing of energy gives the potassium salt and chloride salt for potassium ion and chloride ion for potassium chloride, sodium ion and chloride ion for sodium chloride. But you should write it as fused, because in solution you will be seeing that there are different ions generated upon electrolysis or bypassing electricity. So mandatorily you should write fused, because though it is not written in your book, you should write it. Now acidulated water, when electricity is passed, hydrogen and oxygen gas are generated. So this is the end of your chapter. Thank you.